Introducing Huda TV mobile application. It comes packed with all our programs, loaded with features you can't afford to miss on your mobile handset. You can now keep track of your prayer timings, calculate your zakah. Your closeness to Allah is even more closer with the adhkar. Most of all, we live stream everything from the application. Go to Google Play Store to install and get the full benefit of Huda mobile with you everywhere you go.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Jina langu ni Amal Latif na karibu katika kipindi cha nasaha kwa umma. Hapo leo ni tarehe ni siku ya Jumatano, tarehe 30 mwezi wa Juni mwaka wa 2021. Na leo mada yetu ya leo ni youth and career relationships. Niko na co-host wangu katika studio na pia a guest. Nitawapa muda wajitambulishe. Naam.
Asante sana. Kwa majina naitwa Kiarie Mwangi, team lead katika organization inaitwa Fariji. Pale Fariji tunazungumza na the youth na tunatumia sports as a platform. Asante.
Nami naitwa Ngini Nasongo, mshauri NASAHA, na yes, mimi pia nafanya kazi na youth sana kushughulika tuna mambo yao mental health, kumaanisha afya ya kiakili. Asante.
Asante sana. So our topic for today ni youth and career relationships. So according to Harvard, wanasema kwa kuna 5 key relationships that an individual should have in order for them to have a successful career. Na mmoja wao wanasema ni kuwa na mentor, ingine ni kuwa na sponsor, ingine ni kuwa na partner, ya 4 ni kuwa na a competitor, na ya 5 ni kuwa na mentee. So mwanzo tutaanza na mentor. What is a mentor and why is it a very important thing for a youth to have when it comes to wakikuwa na a successful career?
Okay. Mwanzo, it's important for us to say who a youth is. Okay? So tukisema, when you're talking about a youth, we are talking according to the Constitution of Kenya now. A youth is a person who is aged between 18 years and 25. That is according to the Constitution of Kenya. But globally, the UN now, they talk about a person who is between the age of 15 to 24 years, and that is what now is globally accepted. Okay. Now, when it comes to the formation of an individual, I'm talking about formation because a person develops from one stage to another. Akishafika your age ya adolescence, now into teenhood, and therefore adolescence, youth. This person has gone through several stages. So pale ambapo amefika wakati huo ni wa kujitambua. They start developing their own identity, they want freedom, and they want so many other things. But you see, this person is just developing. They may not know what is ahead of them. Therefore, they need a person like Uncle Kiarie, who has been there a little longer and who has passed through this stage, to mentor them, to show them the steps, that this is going to be the right way for you. If you follow 1, 2, 3, 4, because they are transitioning into adulthood, then it's going to be good for them ahead. Therefore, it becomes very important for them to have that mentor. Mentor ni mtu ambaye atakuelezea what is right for you as you grow up and what is right for you as you take this path, for example, in terms of your career. Yes.
And Kiarie, I'm sure you're a mentor when you're doing the Fariji kazi yako na Fariji. Asa, why do you think your role as a mentor is very important when it comes to the youth?
One, as my sister Ngini has said, it's a mirror. Because she has correctly said that I've passed through there. A mentor is a person who has passed through the path. So one of the key things that comes out is no trial and error. So this is a person who tells you, usipite njia, because it's like this. I passed there and I saw rocks. So that's one of the key areas. The other area of a mentor is shaping up a growing youth. Because as Ngini has also alluded to, they are also starting to develop, to build their own interest in life, trying to identify themselves. So a mentor comes in to try to chisel, tunasemanga to chisel and shape into something that anaona huyu. For example, we can see that Ngini loves arts. She's creative, she loves painting, she loves graffiti. A good mentor is a person who's going to hold her, to hone her skills and to redirect her to that path. That's the mentor role. Yeah,
okay. Sasa ukiangalia mentor inaweza kuwa an informal way that you get a mentor or a very formal way that you get a mentor. So the informal ni kama, let's say I have an uncle mwenye tu ataniambia, oh Amal, or you know, you're doing something to do with journalism, I'm also a journalist, I can help you with such things because you're my uncle or something. And there's actually going to someone who takes on the role as being a mentor. So do you think both of them are important, or even one of them is important? What do you think about the informal and formal one?
They're all important because they may play totally different roles. Okay, one, if it's an uncle, remember there's that blood relationship. Sasa yeye ni uncle wako na pia anakuelekeza because anataka pengine mtoto wa ndugu yake to excel in a given way. That is their role. But if it is maybe formal, tuseme umekuja shuleni, you know, unakuta mwalimu, they may not necessarily have a blood relationship with you. But many children in fact they look up to the teachers more than their own relatives, because ukiangalia mtoto mdogo atakwambia my teacher said, they want to do what their teacher. So they play a very, very significant role in shaping the future of this child. So yes, both of them are very important because huyu ako na yeye shuleni na mwingine pengine ako na yeye nyumbani. That is if they are lucky enough to have an uncle or a relative who would mentor them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to having a sponsor, let's say you know, someone is doing a business, like a youth is doing a business, or even going to school. Why do you think a sponsor is important when it comes to building a successful career? The relationship between a sponsor and the person who's being sponsored. What do you think of that?
One, we want to look at, okay, and maybe is already in business, or they have excelled in one way or the other. So if I tell you I'm going to sponsor you in terms of finances so that you move from point A to point B, or you start up your business, I will feel indebted to this person. So I want to focus on what it is I'm doing. I'm now talking like a youth. I want to focus on what it is I'm doing because so and so has offered to help me, lift me up probably from this end to this other end. So yes, they still also play a very significant role. You may be talking to me, yes, but I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. So if someone comes in and says, nitakusaidia, I'll elevate you from this level to that level, it becomes very important to this person. Therefore, with that indebtedness, they feel like, let me do it. You get, yeah.
And just to add on Ngini, there's also another angle of upskilling, especially when we see in family businesses. There is a person who can sponsor a certain person within the large family unit so that they can be in their line of business. Perhaps as uncle, nephew, for example, and you see the potential, so you say, I'm going to sponsor you in your academic and train you in a specific directed way so that ukimaliza masomo, you join our business. That is also part of the sponsor to the grown youth.
And you know, uko nje kuna youth mwenye labda kwao hawana pesa kabisa. So even when you're looking at an uncle, najua, or something, like it's a little bit difficult, or maybe there's someone who has money but they're not very willing to sponsor them, which is okay because it's the money. So what do you think a youth should do? in order for them to acquire a sponsor? Like, what do you think, what steps should they follow in your opinion? Like, if you are a youth, what will you do to acquire a sponsor? Because I'm sure you have gone through life, you know, people who sponsor others, so please let us know.
One, I don't know if it's the government, but I want to thank them because they've talked quite a bit about coming up with programs that support the youth. So what I have seen them also advocate is youth coming together, you know, forming something, some form of business, and then seeking support, like financial support from there. There is something, Kenya National Youth, what is it called? Yes.
Sorry, I know, but I know the initial.
Yes, there is a program that is set specifically for youth. Okay, and other than that, sometimes I wish I was born these times, you know, because there's so much someone can do online. And almost every child nowadays has. And even if they don't have, there's a way they relate with each other, you know. So I could go to Kiarie, for example, and say, I've heard this and that is happening. Can we check, you know? So there are so many things that are happening online that a youth can get. Sometimes direct scholarships, sometimes direct sponsorship, whatever it is they want, they can always get. And that's why we are told, Google is my friend, okay? Can I make use of that? There is also a friend you could talk to and say, man, in the estate, wherever they stay, and say, I've been thinking about 1, 2, 3, 4 things. Yeah, please help. You know what, in Kiswahili I hear them say nyokole, you know, nyokole in NASAHA, yes. So I think depending on the relationship this person has with other people around them and the kind of relationship they have with themselves. You know, when you're talking about relationship, it starts with you. What kind of person do you think you are? Yeah. What do you want for you, you know, about tomorrow? Because it's not just about today. So yes, there are things they can do. There are places they can go to. And they can always use their phone to Google. You know, if in event, like I said, you can be lucky to get somebody to help you, or maybe you don't have. So what do? You don't sit back and say, Sanita do. There are other opportunities. Just explore with your friends, with even your teachers, even with the people at the, for example, the sheikh at the mosque. Can you go there and talk to them and tell them, I want 1, 2, 3, 4 things, but I'm incapacitated in this way. People, you'll be surprised by how amazing Kenyans are, and we've always seen that. They always come through for other people to help. True. Okay? Yeah, so the opportunities are limitless. Thank you.
Okay. So the third person that helps a youth to have a successful career, they're saying it's a partner. So mainly this is like a peer partner. So may we please discuss about that? Like, how does a peer, a friend, rafiki yako anakusaidiaje wewe kukuwa na a successful career?
Like I mentioned earlier, you know, it depends on the kind of relationship you're having with that. But again, when we talk about peer, we need to be very careful. Because what I have noted, especially in my line of work, we at that age, remember we are talking about people learning to be independent, because it's a moment of identification and confusion. If someone is not able to tell exactly who they are, then they get lost. Because everybody around has their own ideas. You will come to me looking like you want help, but I'm like, hiyo tu ndio nakustress. I've had clients who come and say that. How did you get into drugs? Because I was having this constant headache. I didn't know what to do. When I went to Kiarie to tell them that this is what was disturbing me, they introduced me to this. They gave me this pill to put under my tongue, and you know, nikaanza tu kusikia niko sawa, you know. That is also help, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone is trying to help your problems, ziishe. But is that the kind of help one wants? Yeah. So we are talking about maybe progressing in life, becoming a person who is meaningful to the community. Okay. So you look for people who look like they have stood, they have grounded themselves. You don't just go to anyone. So you, again, as a person, what do you want for yourself? Who are your friends around you? Because they say, show me your friend, and I'll say what?
And I'll show you who you are.
Yes. So who do you relate with? If you want to move forward, then relate with the people who seem to be moving forward. Lakini ukiwa tuna wase mtas juu wanakanga, I don't know what they call, you know, that jobless corner thing. I'm not saying it's bad to be jobless, because most of the Kenyans now, especially currently, are out of employment. One, because of corona, two, because of so many other factors. But where it will take you, just you, to get out of that situation. So long as you open up your mind and you say, think outside the box. Okay.
True.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, like I'm sure there are people, you know, wako mtaani, the people around them are just people who think inside the box, like the way you are saying, thinking about outside the box and thinking inside the box. So what do you think, what advice would you give them for them to move one step forward, and also trying to discern what type of friends that they should have in order to have a successful career? Hata kama unajua successful career si zingine ni kuuza kitu kwa kiosk. But unajua sasa hizo unasema mimi kwenda kwa kioska, wewe ataniona mimi tu ni mama wa kiosk. Na maybe I want to be, you know, I want to be cool, I want to be. So like how should they discern, you know, what type of friends they should have? You know, you really emphasized about a person knowing themselves.
Yes.
Like how, now tell us, if you could tell us the steps, what steps should they take in order for them to know themselves first and then to know the circle that they should have?
Okay, thank you. One thing, when I'm talking about knowing yourself, we're talking about self-awareness. It's usually a long journey. It doesn't take, it's not a one-off event, because we keep developing. So this child at this level, again, depending on the kind of environment they live in, do they have supportive parents, for example? Do they have anyone they can confide in to talk to them? Because again, it goes with somebody's self-esteem. Where is it? Is it low? Is it high? Yeah, do I live in a very violent environment? However, all that said, you need to sit down with yourself and say, okay, this is my situation. I can't say sasa nililelewa Madare. So we know people who are brought up from the slums, and they are doing magnificently well in these societies. So have a meeting with yourself and ask yourself, okay, this is my situation. My parents didn't have. So what do I want for me? Because we can't keep crying about the spilt milk. Ishamwagika basi. Haiwezi zoleka, si ndio? So nitajikuta vipi mimi nikiwa hapa nijikwamue, I take myself to the next level. Is it okay if I sell kwa hiyo kiosk? How much will I make out of there? There is always that beginning. So long as we learn to appreciate who we are and then learning to see what it is we are taking. Because I cannot be crying sitting in the house because sasa Kiarie akiona nikiuza kwa kiosk atanichekelea. Yes, it is okay. That is who I am. And it is okay with me. Whether Kiarie laughs or he doesn't laugh, it is, where am I going? Because let us look at where we are going. Okay. And maybe if it's okay, that's why I mentioned to you that there is a program that currently the government is trying to roll out. Actually, it's already rolled out, that talks about competence-based education and training. Okay, they are allowing the youth, particularly now, to go in and do any technical courses they can. Hairdressing is being recognized. You understand? Even hotel, you know, like you are a waitress, you'll be trained how to be a waitress. Okay, you do all those things like mechanics, like a plumber, a carpenter, all those things. Just go to any institution. It doesn't matter what grade you got. You are going to that institution. Because sometimes they're looking at what skill do you have. Maybe you've been, sitting around some garage. You've seen how people do things. You've been the spanner boy. Later, Rudisha, you have learned how to fix something. But what you don't have is a paper to show, that you can do it. You go to a technical college, under TVET, technical, vocational, educational training. We are training, okay, I'm a TVET ambassador, champion. So we are training people to do all that. Kwa hivyo, within you and anybody else, yes, you have the skill. Ulisoma kitambo ama ukusoma, but in the process of just living, you manage to do 1, 2, 3, 4 things, you qualify. So you go there, you are assessed, and you're given a certificate. So in other words, or in short, anybody and everybody can become something, so long as they have the will. And now the doors are open. There was so much funding I saw in the budget this year, so much allocation for that, for TVET courses. Okay? Yeah. You don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to be an engineer to be anything. You can be anything anywhere. That engineer needs someone to fix their car. They can't fix it themselves. That doctor, our CJ, our current Chief Justice, needs to have her hair done. She will go to a salon, and you are trained in that. You do it. That's a job. So we need to acknowledge that any job is a job, and it will pay you. It will put food on your bed, on your table, and it will propel you to the next level.
Very true.
Yeah.
And when you are talking about like the successful people who come from the slum, let's say, I'm sure there is someone who's very successful right now who grew up in Madare or Kayole or even Kibra itself. So what can you tell the people who are successful? Because they give people hope. Like how involved should they be in the communities that they came from in order to continue giving the youth hope? Like, what do you think about that, Kiarie?
First, I think, and thank you to my auntie Ngini for actually breaking it down very well. I think one, people say the higher you climb up, the more people you need to pull up. At kisa na maana, so that should anything happen and you slide, you don't fall lower. Kuna watu kukushikilia karibu.
True.
So people say as you go up, as you at the corporate ladder, your business, you need to also grow with people. Now, the people who have succeeded and the people who continue to succeed, we see one of their key strengths has been one, interpersonal relationship skills. That person is able to sit at the 5-star and at the kibanda with the same ease. That person can drive the car today and take a matatu tomorrow with the same ease. Now, those are the same people who, with time, they either come up with what are called foundations, just to try to uplift the others. And then there are those who get involved in community projects. At times, kukusaidia, it's not directed at you as an individual. Perhaps it's by 3-4 people who grew up in a slum area coming to build the drainage area, which will help offset the diseases, will offset the people crossing the bridge across. So community help, those who have made it, is gauged on those parameters.
True, very true. And just going back to the peer relationships. Can you I'm sure that people usually experience healthy and unhealthy relationships. When I was telling you to try and like how should someone discern, what type of friends that they should have. And kuna unhealthy and healthy relationships. So can you give us the characteristics of unhealthy and healthy relationships, and may you please also help us understand why stability in relationships is very important for a successful career.
When you're looking at a human being, for example, because I'm a mental health person, when you're not mentally stable, when you don't have proper mental health, then you're actually not healthy, because the mind determines a lot of things in a person. Okay, so if I'm in a good relationship, let's talk about the peer, like you mentioned. And when we talk about peer, we're not just talking about the youth. Kiarie and I can be peers, you understand? Yeah. So Kiarie, as old as we may appear to be, could have a certain influence on me.
True.
Okay. So he could derail me from what I'm doing, and I get completely lost. Okay. I could find him maybe engaging in certain activities that may not necessarily be healthy according to the society, and I think they're okay, depending on my emotional state at that particular time. So it would be very easy. I become an easy target or easy prey. So coming back to the youth, remember we've said at this point, they are very, very, very vulnerable. Yeah. They want, the current youth we see, they want things to happen like Jana. It should have happened Jana. I saw so and so, and I've seen that they really, really mess themselves up with each other. You go to some fancy place, take photos, sometimes I hear with borrowed clothes, and then post this on social media. That already is affecting another person's mental health. They are thinking, I was in class with her just last week, last month, last year. How come she's doing so well? With photos showing that she's actually in Paris, but she's in some place in this town. So if you have a relationship with a person who is always trying to compete with another person, you are really in trouble, because that is not healthy at all. It means you are not learning to appreciate who you are and where you are at, to start at your own place and see the progress in yourself. You want to be like another person, but you don't know what journey, they have traveled. So that is not very healthy, if you ask me. If a youth is telling you, let's run away from home, and go clubbing, because now we are done with high school, we've heard all those stories. And nowadays, girls, sana, are the ones who are being duped, because they start liking, somebody on Facebook. They use this, what do you call this GPS thing? They move GPS, yeah, they find their way somewhere. and then they go, they find a stranger who does not have very good intentions. Then that's how they disappear. I don't know if that is good influence or healthy relationships. It's not at all. Okay, a healthy relationship would be, in my opinion, a person who will say, let us sit down and think about what we want to do for ourselves from now onwards. Starting with our family, immediate family. Does my mom or dad know where I am? Okay. Am I comfortable doing what I'm doing? So that if my mom asks me, unafanya nini, I will tell them. I will not create stories about what it is I'm doing. That is creating a good relationship between yourself and your mother. Okay. If my brother found me doing something, or if I want to do something, I'll comfortably ask them, is it okay? Because I know I'm not doing anything against what is expected of me. I'll also not feel guilty. I'll not be embarrassed. I'll not be ashamed. Okay, that is forming healthy relationships. I'll come to you and say, imagine I have this 2,000 shillings and I would like to do business. Please guide me. What do you think I can? You will tell me, see, we try doing sukuma, for example. You know, can we try doing any other business that can help us get 100 bob out of this? That is healthy. As opposed to somebody who will tell you, sasa 2K utafanya, ni study tu tuwashe, you know, let's go. Then you blow it. Then tomorrow you wake up and you're having a terrible hangover, or you just realize you wasted that money. Maybe you went to Gikomba and bought a few clothes. Then what happens to you? If you are buying to sell so that you make something out of it, well and good. But you're just buying for yourself to dress up. Maybe you don't even need those clothes. You're not walking naked. So when we talk about that, we are looking also at the mental health of this person. What do you want? How is it at this particular time? Is it helping me to feel better, or is it helping me to worry even more? In a nutshell.
Mpendi mtazamaji, you have heard from the psychologist. When it comes to relationships, it all starts with you. Vile wewe, how is your mental health? How are you internally? And with that, we'll take a short break. Tafadhali usibanduke, keep it Al Huda.
Introducing Al Huda TV mobile application. It comes packed with all our programs, loaded with features you can't afford to miss on your mobile handset. You can now keep track of your prayer timings, calculate your zakah. Your closeness to Allah is even more closer with the adhkar. Most of all, we live stream everything from the application. Go to Google Play Store to install and get the full benefit of Al Huda mobile with you everywhere you go.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Karibu tena mtazamaji katika awamu ya pili ya kipindi cha Nasaha kwa umma. Mada yetu ya leo ilikuwa about youth and career relationships. Niko na guests wangu Ngini, Nasongo na our co-host Kiarie, na tulikuwa tumeongelelea about a mentor and a sponsor and a partner who are key relationships in having a successful career. So the third and the fourth and the fifth one that we're meant to talk about is a competitor and a mentee. So tukianza na competitor. Ulikuwa umeongelea TVET and also like people are going to technical universities in order for them to get certificates and everything. And also when it comes to work, even when they go to work, and even people who are not in the TVET when they're in the other universities, how important is it to have a competitor in the field that you're working in or the field that you're studying in? How does a competitor help you have a successful career?
Competition is good at any level. Competition is good because it helps somebody up their game. You know, it helps you sharpen your skill, at least to get better at what you're doing. So at any level, I think competition is good. But then sometimes it can also have its own negative effects, because someone can give up along the way. You know, if you start telling yourself, again, that is mental. If you start telling yourself, I'm not as good as so and so, why should I even try? Okay, but again, I will insist and say, learn to appreciate who you are at whatever level, because that is always the beginning. And learn to compete with me, not competing with Kiarie, for example. Yeah, I want to become better at what I am. Why? Because there are no two people who are the same. There's no time you will think like me. There is always a difference. Even if we say the good, ukiniuliza mimi good inamaanisha nini, I'll explain totally different things as opposed to what my colleague would say here. Yeah, so I don't know what you'd want to say on that, Kiarie, for example.
I think for the competitor, and I'll go back to where we started, the government has got what we're struggling with the words KEOP. KEOP means Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project, KEOP. And I'm just reading here that KEOP has a 15 billion project by the government of Kenya and financed by the World Bank over the next 4 years, targeting the age of 18 to 29 years. Now, what is competition at that point? At that point is there will be 70,000 youth who will be trained in technical skills and access through NITA.
Yes.
NITA is National Industrial
Training
Authority.
Yes.
And another 280,000 youth to be trained on entrepreneurial skills. Now, each of these youth who will be selected will get a stipend allowance of 6,000 shillings per month during the training period. Surely, that's government opportunity to the youth. Now, competition. Now, given the youth, given the bracket 18 to 29, and the opportunities available, that is 350,000 opportunities. So you'd imagine there'd be cutthroat competition just to be a successful applicant. The second level of competition, which I think my Aunt Ngini is mentioning, is now about, one, it will be good competition and healthy competition for as many people to want to be part of it. People say, if you tried and didn't make it, by participating, you are a winner. You participated in the application process. You are a winner. You might miss out on this, but then you have given yourself the drive and the mental energy for something else. If this had not come, perhaps you might have tried. The second layer of competition is using this example to those successful applicants. Now, then they find themselves into another competition level, which can be A, healthy, B, unhealthy. I will start with the healthy. The healthy means it says there will be 70,000 youth to be trained on technical skills. Life is competition. Everybody competes. But the best competition is with you. You are your best benchmark. So that competition is healthy because when you look at your colleagues in that space, that competition will build all of you because you're competing. You see, when you compete 4x4 relay, you compete to pass the baton. So that competition is healthy. What the flip side also just might be, even with a good intention, not all of us are mentally ready for the marathon, for the long haul. So you might dip now, but the people, your peer, the people around you might pass a certain module or unit, as part of it, then it might deflate you. Perhaps the deflation is not necessarily because you're weak or not necessarily because you're not good. Perhaps momentarily or emotionally, or there was something else happening to you around that time that made you lose out on the module in your marks. But that again may deflate you and not give you the energy to move. Because in your mind, as Ngini has said, it's mental. So you're thinking, if fulani na fulani na fulani wameniwacha, so there's this thing, wameniwacha. So should I play catch up ama tu niachane tu nayo? So competition is good, it's healthy, but you also need to be very careful on the mental frame. Unfortunately, again, it is a process. Mental energy is a process of maintaining a balance throughout.
But let me just say something on that. When it comes to career, you mentioned this earlier, that I could be very good at art, very good at drawing. I'm very good at singing. But when it comes to history and stuff like that, I may not really excel. But that does not make me a failure. I need to tap into that talent, which needs to be nurtured now by us. And that is how now TVET is coming in. We are nurturing the talents that these other people have, other than just the academics. Because this person has something in them that is very valuable. So even if there is that competition as we're talking, there is something else that I am good at that this other person may not be good at. Okay, you may be very good at TV and stuff like that, but I'm good at writing. Both of us are good, but in our own special ways. And that is what we need to instill in our youth. That I may not be as good as, in fact, who determines? Because when you're saying I'm good, by what standards? Okay, so I'm good, I know, and we need to believe that I am good at what I'm doing. Focus on that and go for it. That is what we are telling the youth.
Very true.
Yes, go for it. Try. Jaribu tu. Kufeli is just one way of succeeding, because you have learned one way of not how to do something. Allow yourself to fail. The more you fail, the better you become at it. Nobody has just stood up at one point and become something so great. They failed several times. Even just story at KFC, that guy tried a million times.
So many times.
Yes, for him to get where he is.
Yeah.
So the more you fail, the better. So allow yourself to fail, because that is human, but learn from it. Learn from it and move on. Thank you.
So before we even continue with the discussion, I wanted to remind you, dear viewers, that we are live on Facebook and also live on the app, on the Al Huda app, and there's a number posted on the screen that you can call in and ask your questions. As we continue with the discussion, Kiarie, you mentioned that there is unhealthy competition and healthy competition. And when it comes to unhealthy competition, Ngini, you have told us about, people will want to experience stress when it comes to the competition, now failing, the stress of failing. Apart from that now, unajua kuna ile, for example, the 350,000 chance that the job opportunities that are going to be presented in the next 4 years. Kuna mtu labda rafiki yake alikuwa apate hiyo kazi, mimi nikaingia kwa hiyo kazi. So kuna ile wewe si unajua kuna shida rafiki yangu anapitia, mbona wewe ukapata? Tena kuna hiyo si jealousy but malice towards the person because they have gotten an opportunity that maybe you wanted and you got a lower one, or rafiki yako alikuwa anataka hakupata, mtu mwingine akaingia. Sasa huyu mtu, hata for example even right now at workplaces, kuna mtu tu hakupendi, kuna that aspect of competition that becomes completely unhealthy from the other person, anakuchukia tu for no reason at all. So with this person, with the people, a youth who's experiencing this at their workplace or even at their school place or even in the future, what advice would you give them? What should they arm themselves with?
You're looking at me as if you want to say something. What you know what, that is how life is to start with. Kuna kuchukiana tu, you know, envy, hate, you know, jealousness and stuff like that. Those are things that we grow up with. But then I don't have control over what you think and feel about me. I can only have control about what I can do. I need to take charge of my emotions. Sana sana, how do I interpret your behavior towards me? Okay, we are buddies, yes, but nimepata hii job, pengine tuli-apply sisi sote pamoja, but I got it and you missed it. Makosa ni ya nani kusema tu ukweli? It's neither yours nor mine. But if you feel uncomfortable with me, then what do you want me to do to you to make you feel good? Is that my responsibility therefore? No. Sasa wewe unataka na kujua kwamba if you are not happy because of that, I can only do so much about that. Then you start telling yourself, if Kiarie has felt bad that I got this job, there are 3 things I need to do. Yeah, and I talk about this every other time. You learn how to manage stress around you. 1, I will adapt to the situation, because pengine mnafanya kazi hapa nyinyi wote pamoja, you know, but there's somebody who's always having some, you know, funny feelings towards you, feelings that make you uncomfortable, and you know you can't say something. It could even be your boss. What do? You adapt to that environment and learn how to live with it, because you may not have control over that. So that is my first A. It says adapt. The situation is this, accept, alafu adapt, ndio. Ya pili inasema alter. Change the way you perceive this, because what affects us normally is how we interpret or perceive what is happening to us. How do I perceive it? Does it mean ananichuka kwa sababu mimi ni mbaya ama namna gani? You know, it will affect you because now it is you is giving it meaning. So change the way you're perceiving this. Change the interpretation of the whole thing. Kwani mimi ni mbaya? Kwani who has told you that? Haya yote yanafanyika in your mind.
In your mind.
And that's why we are saying the mind is also very powerful here. The last one is avoid. Avoid situations that are going to get you into trouble. Ikiwa kila mara tukikutana na wewe you are going to make me feel so bad, then the best I can do is to avoid you. Because probably I can't talk to you nikwambie yenyewe I've been feeling this and that and that. Probably I have tried that and it is not working. I will just avoid. And when it comes to alter also, this is your boss, and you know, or even a colleague, you know that if I'm going to be with them for 10 minutes and the 10th minute watakuwa wamenikasirisha, then I'll try as much as I can to do what I need to do within the first 5 minutes or the 6th minute, isn't it? So hiyo dakika nyingine ambayo angefanya kunikasirisha nitakuwa nimeondokea. Yes. We are relating, yes, but I have changed how. Isn't it? Yes. So those 3 A's are very, very important in our day-to-day lives. How to manage your stress, because stress lazima tuishi nayo. Saa zingine unakuja umechelewa because sijui matatu, kama ulikuwa unakuja na matatu, even if you are driving yourself, kuna jam hapa na pale. Could you have avoided it? But then you change the way you want to do it. Pengine nianze safari mapema. You still use the same route, but you've changed the way you're doing it. You beat the traffic, isn't it? So we try as much as you can to work within those 3. Sometimes they say but for me, adapt and accept is almost the same thing. So yes, colleague kwa hivi, do I have any control over it? No. So what do? I avoid. Can I do anything about it? Maybe the most I can do is just adapt, change the way I'm doing it, and learn to live, because I have control over what I feel and what I think, but not the other person. And by the way, ukishaanza kubadilika hivyo utaona mwenyewe pia anabadilika. Because change starts with me.
True. And just to add to what my aunt has said, it is also said, when you can't control what is happening around you, challenge yourself to control how you are going to respond to it. And they say that's where the true power lies. And there's something you mentioned about the types of people, the jealousy, the malice. It can be as low as at family level, at sibling.
True, very true.
Sibling. We have seen it growing up. We have seen it in sibling business. We have seen it in treatment, because the truth of the matter is certain parents seemingly favor certain siblings. So, and I think the 3 A's, they're also, I think, applicable from what I've listened to Ngini. They're also applicable at family unit level.
Yes.
So then the power then lies in how you respond to that which you cannot control. You see, for example, there is when people talk about anger management, and we tell that to our youth when we do our sports and football. You can have someone football anakukanyanga mguu. You know, perhaps how you immediately respond to that can labda there was something else off the field that triggered that reaction. Kwa hivyo that person amekukanyanga kimakosa. Wewe umeamka, umempiga, umemwangusha, and nauliza what happened? Huyu amenikanyanga. But then digging deeper, those two had another incident off the field. So part of anger management, and I think just to corroborate what Ngini has been saying here, is I think it's you. I think it's a self-awareness. It's the points which the touch points she's talking about, the self-awareness. Number 2, how the 3 A's then, they can work together in any situation, be it at work level, even in the field for us at Fariji and sports, even in school, but even in class. We have seen people fight over school bus. Umekalia kiti yangu. School bus, I mean, no.
There's no allocated seats for anyone.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And it becomes a brawl. But again, digging deeper, kitu kama hiyo, then you might find that perhaps there were other
underlying issues.
Thank you.
And vile umekuwa ukiongelelea, like, you know, this accept, adapt, and avoid is going to, you know, help in various relationships and stuff. So for example, an individual has yani what she's experiencing or what he is experiencing at work is beyond crazy. He has a very, you know, a very not bad, but, you know, a very bad boss.
Toxic. Let's say toxic.
Toxic, yes, that's a perfect word. So a very toxic boss. Yani ukikuja kazini, yani ukitoka, self-esteem yako imefika kwa miguu. Unajua kwa sababu how the boss talks to you, or even someone at work. So when is it an appropriate time for you to completely leave the work situation? I know that various people experience various problems, you know, nyumbani kwenu hamna pesa, so the main reason why you are at work right now is because of money issues. But at what cost? How is it affecting your mental health? So mtu huyu akifika, at what chapter or angle in their life should they be like, okay, this is enough, let me just, Mwenyezi Mungu atanifungulia riziki, nitaenda kutafuta kazi na nitapata Mungu akipenda, lakini for now I cannot continue to live like this. What do you think? Ama should they just continue adopting the 3 A's that you told us?
You know, I've talked about those 3 A's as ways of managing stress.
Yes.
And this is applicable in our day-to-day lives. It doesn't matter whether it's at home or work situation or whatever. That is what is going to help you. However, when someone is at a workplace, it doesn't mean you are condemned, allow me to use that word, to that place. You came there and you are there because of the skills you have. Those people are not doing you a favor to be there. They hired, you know, it's like a give and take kind of thing.
Yeah.
You work for them, they pay you. They need you, you need them at that level. But many times, us as individuals, human beings generally, think that nishapata kazi Absa Bank, bas, I'm stuck. I mean, I don't think beyond that. we forget that it's because of the skill I have ndio niko pale. So we don't even want to improve ourselves. Tumekwama. But now when you start having those challenges, you should be asking yourselves, have I explored all the options I have around me? What other options do I have? Because you can't continue living in a toxic environment and pretend to be fine. You're not. It's going to affect you. So before you even make that move, start asking yourself, what is making me feel so bad about this kind of relationship I have with my boss? Because kuna wakati mwingine sisi wenyewe tunachangia. You know, tunachangia, but it is easier to blame the other person, which is very normal. Ask yourself, have a meeting with yourself and ask yourself, what could be happening between my boss and me? How could I have contributed? Ama pengine mimi mwenyewe nachelewa na sitaki kuambiwa nimechelewa. Have I made sure that everything, unajua unakuwa na checklist, nasema, do I come on time? Yes. Do I finish my assignments in time? Yes. Am I doing what? Yes. Yes. That is okay. Do I respond well when they talk to me? Yes. But then, maybe that is where the problem is. Who have I tried to consult with about the same? We are talking about exploring the opportunities or options around you. Nimeongea na fulani, lakini it looks like shida haitoki kwangu.
Yeah.
The problem.
To interrupt you.
Yes.
There's a phone call.
Sorry.
Assalamu alaikum. Tumempoteza huyo. Yes.
Yeah, so sorry for that. So before you make that move, because you can't just kutoka tu because nimechoka mimi sasa huyu think, because we need to think, we need to be in control of our emotions. Okay, nimeona hii imeendelea kwa muda mrefu, let me now start thinking about my exit plan. Nikitoka hapa nitaenda wapi? Wakati mwingine may not have, but have I saved enough for me to enable me to move to the next level? But maybe it's also a relationship. Unaelewa? Yeah. Maybe it's your spouse. Okay, let me not get there. But let's just talk about work. Am I comfortable with this? If I moved from here, where am I going to? Or am I going to make my situation even worse? So that I also don't focus so much on what my boss does to me. I focus on my work. Am I doing well? Am I doing that? As I prepare my exit, if you must exit, have a plan B, plan C, and even a plan D. But before you do that, try to ensure that you have communicated in one way or the other to that person so that probably they get to know. Manake wakati mwingine we do that, but the person doesn't know that they offend you. Sometimes they don't know.
Just to add to Ngini, it is said that manipulation, especially in career, in a situation where you work with people in a business or in an office or in a work environment, people say manipulation is when they blame you. When they blame you to your reaction for their disrespect. So at times, and they support you, at times even as people might be in a toxic environment, but that person does not know. Because they just see high staff turnover, but nobody has come forth and said, people are leaving this organization because of particular person. So over a period you see the staff turnover is high, but even that person, with a lot of respect to them, they don't know. How do we, some of these things, they are also the stages which I think you mentioned there. That's why you need at times to have the friends, the peer pressure, your peer, your friend, because again they're also going to guide you. And also just to add to what Madam Ngini has said also, when we're talking about career options, and especially to the youth, there is something that is guided. The youth guides and said, wacha nifanye hii kibarua ya kushikilia before nipate ingine ama before I advance. That can also be good and bad. At times, hiyo kushikilia, it drains you because in your heart, you know that is not what you want.
Yeah, sure.
So it can actually have a negative effect on you, but you're blaming it on the boss and the environment. It is you. Wewe ndio umeenda kushikilia. Okay? Part B about kushikilia is you are there with a promise that in 3 months, 6 months, utaenda to to the place where you are waiting for something, or you're waiting for some application. For some reason, the 3 months, 6 months later, that doesn't materialize. So what happens is self-resentment. Because psychologically, unaenda kushikilia for a certain duration of time. Then you, even with the checklist which Ngini has mentioned, do I do this? You're already mentally and psychologically not frustrated. There's an English word, natafuta, which now, because ulikuwa umesema utakaa hapa miezi 3, na sasa unajipata 1 year, 1.5 years later, you are still there because the opportunity kupita. You are there because of mshahara na nini, but now you also, I'm trying to look for, you also blame others. In as much as
you're unhappy, you're blaming others.
Yeah. Kuna nini?
It's like projecting your disappointments on others.
Yes. I'm thinking in Kikuyu sana, jaribu kutafsiri. Now, but you see now that also affects you as a youth. So, what would be the correct advice? Perhaps just me. Perhaps hii kushikilia, I don't know how, I know tunashida the youth, I know the in unemployment situation, but me, I often see that labda kushikilia pia inachangianga kidogo. What do you think, Madam?
Yeah, what happens is that we set very high expectations of others. You understand? Umeenda job, okay? Lakini you expect people to treat you in a given way. But when you are coming to work, everybody knows una sababu zako za kuja kufanya. One is to achieve the goals of the organization, first and foremost. But you want to be treated with kid gloves. Who has that kind of time for you? No. Hata kama umekuja kushikilia, fanya kazi boss. You know? That is what has brought you here. And then again, we need to know that even as you are shikiliaing, what was your initial plan? Focus on that also. I mean, be thinking about that. And one thing I want to thank COVID for, I'm sorry to say this on air, is that it has opened people up to many other opportunities. People have realized the kind of talents they have that were probably hidden. Okay, and that's why I was mentioning this, that it's very important, Google. People have learned a lot of things through YouTube. A lot of things. And people have actually been financially empowered, as much as we are talking about low times. Financial, economic, whatever. But people have learned. So as you think about that, as you do that, I know people who lost jobs, but now they're, in fact, there's one who has become a very good carpenter, you know, because he lost his job. He came to me because he was depressed. Alikuwa anasema sawa, kwangu mimi nitafanya nini? Nikitoka kwa nyumba siwezi kwenda mbali because curfew. Nikienda mbali I cannot interact with anybody. What do I do? We exploring the available options. What are you good at? He said, me, I think I can do 1, 2, 3, 4 things. Mimi naweza kufanya vitu mbao. What does it involve to do that? Tulianzia hapo pole, and this guy, let me tell you, he sent me those things he has done. And I told him I'm going, yes, he said, wow, I regret why I wasted my years. He was a banker. I regret doing that. And another one was also laid off. You know, so alikuwa anaenda mahali, unajua the way guys sit mahali, sijui wanakunywa pombe na wenzao, sijui wanafanya those, you know, so akafutwa kazi mbele ya wao. Akawa anaenda pale, akamwambia me, I think the little man that I've been given a job, wacha nifungue wash, inaitwa car wash. Yes. So car wash, all his colleagues wanakuja hapo.
Nice.
All his colleagues, and he says that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because in a day he can make clean 6,000 shillings. Gari moja akiosha, he says on a good day he can wash even 100 cars at 300 shillings. How much is that?
That's tax free. Sasa yeye anakodisha wale wenzake. Wanakuja wao katikati ya mwezi, you know, we don't have, anawapatia at a profit. You get? So we need to think, like I was saying, think outside the box. What you are calling a misfortune can also be an opportunity. Yeah? Okay, tupatie nasaha zenu za mwisho, then we close off the show. Kiarie.
Thanks once again to host Fariji. Tunasemanga ujana ni moshi. Na vile my aunt Ngini amesema, I think the window, the youth, it's a short window which needs the youth to have self-awareness, keep good company, and most importantly, have a very focused direction in life.
Yeah.
Ujana ni moshi.
Thank you. To the youth, once again, the opportunities are massive. Just learn to love yourself, have a meeting with yourself, and think about where you want to go. Support is massive here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for our guests for today and our host, and also the people who made this show a success. And to you, our dear viewer, thank you very, very much for watching our show. And that is the end of Kipindi cha NASAHA kwa Umma. I hope you have gotten 1 or 2 or 3 things from this show. And thank you very much again for watching the show. My name is Amal Latif, and keep it Al Huda TV.
Introducing Al Huda TV mobile application. It comes packed with all our programs, loaded with features you can't afford to miss on your mobile handset. You can now keep track of your prayer timings, calculate your zakah. Your closeness to Allah is even more closer with the adhkar. Most of all, we live stream everything from the application. Go to Google Play Store to install and get the full benefit of Al Huda mobile with you everywhere you go.